Chapter 2. The Balancing Act. Marcus Chen woke for the second time that Tuesday with straw in his hair and calculus in his nightmares. The sharp electronic beep of his alarm clock dragged him back to university reality. Collision course with the underside of the bunk above, introducing his forehead to solid pine. Stars. The Chicago kind, not Valdres, burst in his vision, and the phantom ache of Big Tom's reassuring hand still warmed his shoulder. Around him, his cramped dorm room materialized with jarring completeness. Textbooks stacked precariously on the desk, his laptop still open to last night's chemistry homework, his phone buzzing with notifications from a world that had continued spinning while he'd been worrying about cattle parasites and crop rotation. The dorm smelled like stale pizza and body spray, yet he swore he could still catch a ghost of lye soap and barnyard on his clothes. A sensory postcard from Valdres. Tuesday. Introduction to biology exam. First semester of college. Parents expecting weekly check-ins. The weight of 2 lives pressed down on him as he stumbled toward the shower, body moving on autopilot while his mind remained stuck between worlds. But standing under the steady stream of hot water, a luxury that would seem like magic in Valdres. Marcus felt something different. For the first time in months, he wasn't dreading biology class. In fact, he was almost excited. Finally, he was learning things that could help his family survive, not just creating makeshift rodent traps or swings for Tim and Tam. And being a doctor could be useful for saving lives in Valdres, especially in his family. His phone buzzed, a text from his mom.
How's the first month going? Dad says to remind you about eating actual vegetables, not just ramen. Call us this weekend. Love you, Mum.
Marcus smiled, despite his exhaustion. He pictured his parents in their small apartment, his father David opening Chen electronics repair, his mother Lee heading to the medical clinic. They'd worked double shifts for years to send him here. He grabbed his shower caddy and stepped into the hallway, where the chaos of dorm life was already in full swing. Someone's alarm blared 3 doors down. The common room smelled of burnt coffee and last night's microwaved pizza.
Marcus! Dude, thank God you're awake.
Tyler Nakamura burst from the room across the hall, hair spiking at impossible angles, eyes wide with caffeinated panic. At 18, Tyler was a first-year computer science major who lived and breathed streaming metrics.
My stream setup crashed again. Main rig is blue screening, and I have a sponsored stream in 2 hours.
Did you try turning it off and on again?
Of course Wait, let me try a full power cycle.
Tyler vanished.
Morning, Marcus.
Jake Martinez emerged from the room next door, carrying a mug that read, Future Doctor. Unlike Tyler's chaos, Jake moved with the precision of someone who'd planned his life in 5-year increments.
Big day?
Jake noted the stack of flashcards.
Intro bio review. You ready? You've seemed pretty confident.
You've been different since semester started. More confident, more, I don't know, like you found your groove. I was thinking maybe you didn't like me at first, but now you seem...
Before Marcus could answer, Tyler reappeared.
It worked! Marcus, you're a genius. How do you always know exactly what to try?
An hour later, Marcus slid into his usual middle-row seat for Introduction to Biology.
Panic level?
Surprisingly low.
Good morning! Before the exam, quick review. Why did traditional farming communities rotate crops long before understanding the science?
Half the class stared blankly. Marcus's hand shot up.
Mr. Chen?
Marcus explained rhizobia, root nodules, atmospheric nitrogen words flowing with a confidence that surprised even him. Heads turned, Jake looked like Marcus had started speaking Elvish.
Excellent. And why was that critical for pre-industrial agriculture?
Marcus outlined soil depletion and subsistence yields. Harrison nodded approvingly. The review morphed into an impromptu Q&A, Marcus fielding questions on mites, saponification, and nutrient cycles like he'd spent his childhood on a research farm instead of a Chicago public school. The exam felt almost trivial. When it ended, Jake leaned over.
Who are you and what have you done with Marcus? You were kind of depressed the first month, right?
Been watching a lot of educational YouTube.
Even he winced at the lameness.
Text me after Cam, yeah? We can walk back together.
Deal.
2 weeks into October, Marcus Chen was starting to think he might actually have this college thing figured out.
Dude, you're like a completely different person than you were a month ago.
Tyler was sprawled across Marcus's desk chair while Jake studied at his own desk. Tyler had basically moved into their room since his roommate had dropped out.
Different how? I think about things differently, I guess.
You know how some people are book smart but have no practical sense? You're the opposite. It's like you understand how things work in the real world.
I try to think about how chemistry works in the real world.
That's exactly what I mean. You should join my streams sometimes. I need someone with insight as a voice of reason. Chat loves it when I have guests who can think strategically.
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
Consider it, man. You've got this way of breaking down problems that would be perfect for content.
Before Tyler could elaborate further, Marcus's phone rang. The caller ID showed Mom, and he felt the familiar mix of love and guilt.
Hey, Mom.
Marcus, how are things going? You sound tired.
Studying. Everything's fine.
Good, good. Your father says to ask about your nutrition again. And you're still not seeing those strange worlds, right? You know, like when you were little.
Marcus felt ice in his veins. The room seemed to tilt, and suddenly he was 6 years old again, crying to his parents about why the house kept changing, why different people kept calling themselves his family.
Marcus, are you there?
Yeah, Mom. No, nothing like that. Regular dreams about failing chemistry. I was a confused kid back then. You know how children are?
Of course. I worry sometimes. You seem so distant lately.
I'm fine, really. Adjusting to college life.
After hanging up, Marcus sat quietly for a moment, trying to push down the memories of those early years when he tried to explain Valdris to his parents.
Everything okay?
Yeah, Mom being Mom.
You know what? We've been studying our asses off all week. Let's go out today. Do something normal for once.
What did you have in mind?
There's that new action movie everyone's talking about. We could catch the afternoon showing. Grab some food that doesn't come from a microwave.
I'm in, but I've got to be back by 6 for a stream. Scheduled content, you know?
And so the three of them found themselves in a darkened theater, sharing overpriced popcorn and watching explosions that seemed absurdly simple compared to Marcus's recent concerns. Afterward, as they walked back toward campus, Tyler checked his phone and groaned.
Guys, I need to get back. Stream starts in an hour, and I haven't even set up.
Dude, you are no fun.
Content creation is serious business. Besides, you two aren't exactly party people anyway.
Fair point. I was going to go back and study more anatomy anyway.
As they headed back to the dorm, Marcus felt grateful for this simple afternoon. These moments of normal college life reminded him that he was still 18, still figuring things out, still allowed to be a student sometimes. Late that evening, studying in the library's quiet corner, Marcus let his mind wander to Valdris. The familiar pull of sleep was approaching, and with it, the transition to his other life. To seeing if Liana would be at the village well tomorrow morning. The thought surprised him with its warmth. When had he started thinking about her so often? Marcus woke to the sound of laughter and music drifting through the thin walls of the farmhouse. For a moment, he couldn't place the unfamiliar joy in those voices. Then he remembered. Today was the harvest festival.
Marcus, get down here. The whole village is gathering.
Marcus rolled off his straw mattress, noting with satisfaction that his body felt strong and healthy. The past 2 weeks had been a revelation. The cattle treatment had worked perfectly. Not a single cow was scratching anymore.
Coming.
Downstairs, the farmhouse was bustling with preparation. His aunts were packing what food they had left for the festival, while his uncles debated which of them would represent the family in the traditional strength competitions.
There he is, our young innovator.
Grandfather? Aye.
Don't be modest, lad. Half the village wants to talk to you today. Young Leanna from the bakery has been asking after you all week.
She's a good girl. Smart, too.
And her father's bakery does well even in lean years. Good connections with the grain merchants.
Can we maybe get to the festival before you marry me off?
The walk to the village square revealed the entire community transformed. Colorful banners hung between buildings, long tables groaned under the weight of contributed food, and someone had set up a small stage where traveling musicians were tuning their instruments.
Marcus.
A familiar voice called out. Marcus turned to see Liana approaching, and his heart did something complicated in his chest.
Liana, the festival looks wonderful.
Smooth. I can see why all the girls talk about your silver tongue.
They talk about me?
Marcus, half the village has been talking about you since you cured the Hendersons' cattle plague. Old Henrik swears you saved his entire herd.
It wasn't plague, just parasites. Basic soap and...
I heard what it was. Where did you learn to think like that?
I think about problems differently, I guess. Look for patterns.
Patterns. Like how you suggested my father adjust his bread recipe to account for the humidity changes this season.
Did it work?
His bread has been perfect for 2 weeks straight. My grandpa's asking him for his secret. You see connections other people miss. It's remarkable.
Before Marcus could figure out how to respond to that, Big Tom appeared beside them with his usual devastating lack of subtlety.
Marcus, there you are. They're starting the strength competitions and... Oh, hello, Liana.
Hello, Tom. Are you entering the competitions?
Obviously. Though I was hoping Marcus might try the puzzle contests. He's got a clever mind for solving things.
I'd like to see that. Would you walk with me? I want to show you something.
As they moved away from the crowd, Marcus found himself falling into easy conversation with Liana. She asked intelligent questions about his ideas for improving village life and offered insights that showed she'd been thinking deeply about the same problems.
The eastern fields aren't the only issue. My father says grain prices have been fluctuating wildly. Something about problems with trade routes.
What kind of problems?
Rumors mostly. Caravans going missing. Some traders say there's been trouble near Thornwick, but nobody wants to talk specifics.
What kind of trouble?
I don't know, but my father's had to source grain from farther away, and the merchants seem nervous. But let's not talk about troubling rumors today. Show me this mind everyone's talking about.
They returned to the festival, where Marcus found himself dragged into various competitions and demonstrations. To his surprise, he enjoyed it. The puzzles were engaging, the company was warm, and Liana's presence made everything seem brighter. As evening approached and the musicians began playing for dancing, Liana caught Marcus's hand.
In with me.
I'm not good at dancing.
Neither am I. We'll figure it out together.
They did figure it out, moving together in the simple village dances while the music swirled around them. Marcus found himself thinking that this moment, this girl, this community might be worth fighting for.
Marcus, I'd like to see you again, outside of festivals and emergencies.
I'd like that too.
As the evening wound down and families began gathering their belongings, Marcus felt a contentment he hadn't experienced in either world. Back in his narrow bed, listening to the familiar sounds of the farmhouse settling for the night, Marcus felt something he'd never experienced before: genuine balance. In Chicago, he was excelling academically, his roommates were becoming real friends, and his parents were proud of his progress. In Valdres, he was gaining respect as a problem solver. His family was eating better than they had in years, and Liana made him think about possibilities he'd never considered. For the first time since his world switching began, Marcus started making long-term plans for both lives. Maybe he could pursue agricultural science in college, legitimately research the solutions his Valdres family needed. The only shadow on his contentment was Liana's mention of trouble near Thornwick. But surely that was typical medieval political squabbling. Nothing that would affect a small farming village like Millhaven. As sleep claimed him, Marcus felt more confident than he ever had. He'd figured out how to live in both worlds successfully. What could possibly go wrong? Outside, far beyond the village boundaries, a thin line of smoke rose against the autumn sky, too distant to see, too early to cause alarm, but growing larger each night. The comfortable balance Marcus had fought so hard to achieve was about to shatter completely. But for tonight, he slept peacefully, dreaming of harvest festivals and chemistry labs, of Liana's laugh and Tyler's discoveries, unaware that his two worlds were about to collide in ways he never could have imagined.